everybody. I want to show you guys how I made one of this month's Patreon prizes. So let's check that out. Hey everybody. In this video I wanted to continue making and complete the cover for this sketchbook. I started making it in a live stream earlier today, which if I remember to, I'll link in the video. But there, in that video, I was able to get this sculpted and painted, like these corner pieces, as well as get this eye hand painted. So I wanted to make most of it out of Polymerclay, and the theme was generally like a steampunk, Mardi Gras peacock, maybe? Like, I'll see if we can still incorporate all those different elements. But what I'm doing is, you can see here, I made this base out of just plain white Sculpey, and I painted it with a matte finish black acrylic. And now I'm cutting out with different colors of, I can show you here, the Primo accents. I have I have the silver, the antique gold, the gold, and the bronze. And I'm sculpting some different gears out of that. And I wanted to show you how I go about doing that. Now I have a tool here called a craftaide. This is a leather working tool that works perfectly well on Polymerclay as well. Hopefully I'll remember to put a link to where this can be purchased online down in the comments. But if I forget to, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link that way. But I'm hoping I'll remember. You can kind of see, it just leaves it has a really, like, if you can hear, it has a really very minor indent. But it's just enough that you put it face down on some clay. I've rolled and conditioned this clay out on the thickest setting on my pasta machine. Excuse me. And I'm just using my finger to imprint it onto the clay. So here you can see, and when the light hits it, that imprint that it leaves. And so now I'm going to take a tissue blade. I'm going to get some of this extra bits just out of the way so that I'm not cutting on all my work. And I'm just going to cut along the line where the edge is. Set that off to the side. And then I have a round cutter here, and you'll notice there's a spot where the seam is, and that doesn't really cut a perfectly straight line, so I'm going to stick to using the side that is perfectly straight. And I'm just going to line that up with the edges of the gear and just cut that out like that. I feel like that saves me a little bit of trouble of having to cut the individual sections. And now I'm just going to cut out the marks of the teeth of the gear. And you can totally freehand this as well. I just really enjoy using the consistency of the template. And so now I'm going to start removing pieces. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing the live stream, but I learned a very valuable lesson that when I'm hanging out, I should just hang out, and when I'm crafting, I should just craft, because otherwise I'm so scatterbrained that I don't get much of either done. So I'm going to, I think, schedule weekly hangouts, where like Q&A, you know, just we can all sit down with a nice drink of something together and talk about crafting, and if y'all have any questions or ideas or things that you want to talk about live, it gives us a forum for doing that. And I think that'll be a really good thing. But here in the videos, I'm much more able to edit and streamline it into a better format for educating. Okay, so you can see how I just kind of cut all that out. And now we can come in a little closer, and you can see it has some rough edging on it, some little bits and pieces you know, it looks like it was used with a cookie cutter. So what I'm going to do is I have a ball stylus here. And I'm just going to take this and kind of tap and shape the edges. And you can use the larger end too. It gives something to break up that perfectly straight line and make it look maybe hammered. You know, that's always a cool texturing. And actually, to get that hammered look, we can take the larger end. And I'm just going to do half of this and then show you so that you can see how it compares hammered to not hammered. So you can see that's the hammered texture and that's the perfectly smooth texture. So I'm going to go through a little bit more with, this is the 8mm ball end. I had purchased a whole set of these ball styluses, double-ended ball styluses, in like the paper crafting area of like a Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or Joann's. I can't remember which store I was in. I frequent all three of them pretty often. And now I'm going through with the next size smaller and just adding in some variation to the hammer size. There we go. So there's that. It's a nice texturing. And now I have a nice matte black eyeshadow and just an angled blending brush for eyeshadow application, but also perfect for polymer clay. And I'm just going to come through and I'm kind of tinting, like antiquing or contouring the edging of our gear here, just to add some layer of depth to it. I mean, it's minimal, but I think it makes a difference. Like, I really do. I really do believe it does. And especially, like, I like doing the texturing first on this because then you can kind of brush over it. And here maybe you can see the effect that that has. That kind of looks like a letter E. Ooh, I wonder if I could make some cool steampunk like names on here, like out of gears and stuff. That'd be pretty neat. So here we have, this is the piece that I'm going to be attaching it to. And since the base is already baked, I'm using translucent liquid Sculpey. It bakes to a kind of milky clear. And I'm getting just a glob there on the end. And I'm flipping over to the back side of this gear. And I'm just applying it like so. I mean, it doesn't have to be over every little bit perfectly, but I really don't want to over apply. So there's that. And now I'm going to take this and put it into position. And there's a siren going by. Hope everybody's okay. We live just a few blocks over from the firehouse, so when there's medical emergencies and stuff, it's not necessarily on our street, but our street is very frequented to get to other places in town. So here we go. Now, as it bakes, all that around the edges, that'll go away. Or rather, it'll at least bake down. So that's pretty neat. And you can see some of the different textures that we have going on here. And so from here, like, I also have, you can see on this one, I have this little bolt right there. I'd like to add a bolt on this one. And the way that I do that is I'm just pinching off a little bit of clay. I'm going to roll it between my hands just like this. And you want to get all the seams out of it. There it is, nice and smooth. I'm going to set it down. Now, since this hasn't been baked, I don't feel the need to use liquid polymer clay. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't, it just means I'm not going to. But a little extra never hurts. And then I'm just going to texture that with this part of my craft knife. And then I have this screwdriver with a Phillips head tip. And I'm just going to find the center and boop, just apply that down, just like that. It's not perfectly centered. If that happens, which happens to me a lot, you just take it and reform it. And this one, it was a little bigger than what I wanted it to be, so I'm going to take a pinch off of it and roll it up. And what I mean by getting the seams out is if you look at it, there's a seam right there. And you don't want that. You want it to be nice and perfectly smooth. There we go. So now I'm just going to press that down and do that same thing again. And that's what I like about Polymerclay, is you can mess up almost as many times as you want and still, you know, do something good with it. Maybe that's more centered. Yeah, that's a lot better. And now I can come through too and kind of brush over it with our black. Just to, again, give it a little bit of a used look. And now I really like the silver. For this, so I think I'm going to use silver on, I don't know if you can see, but here on the edges, there's very lightly embossed circles that I'm going to put a little rivet screw over on each one. But before we do that, let me pull out something. Okay, here I have some metallic pure gold acrylic paint. And I've mixed it up, and there's a little bit there in the cap, and that's what I'm going to use. And then just an old paintbrush. There's the information on it, if that means anything to you guys. I think I got this at Walmart. So it's... And I'm just going to get a little bit on the tip. And I just want to do some feathering. Just here on the edges. So I'm kind of like flipping it just back and forth. Like, I just want something that will provide some layer of contrast between the black of this board. Like, I'm making a border. That way, sorry, I got a paintbrush in my mouth. This way, whenever it's on the sketchbook, oh no, I got paint on it. Okay, it'll still be covered, kind of. It provides a border and a contrast. So, I should have thought of that before I just started sticking stuff on other stuff. But, so I'm just going to go through and kind of feathery do the edges like this. And I guess I could paint in the whole, that might be cool. Just come through and try to keep a nice straight line. I'm sure I might be able to clean this up if I go over. Yeah, I'm just going to paint the whole wide border instead of feathering it. And so now this will really contrast that silver rivets that I'll be adding in. Though I'll need to definitely put more paint out. Okay, so I have something here called a clay cutter, and this is about almost ½ an inch. I'm sure if I had a centimeter, here's some centimeters. It looks like its inner diameter is a centimeter, maybe 11, millimeters, but roughly about that size. And I have some silver clay rolled out to the thickest setting on my pasta machine. And this is how I make the evenly sized little balls that I'm going to be making into the screw rivets. So I have that cut out, and I'm going to cut it as close to perfectly in half as what I can. And I'm going to take each of these halves and I'm going to roll them until they're seamless. There's one, and there's two. So now from here, I have all my acrylic paint is nice and dry. And I have some liquid polymer clay. And I'm just going to do a dab. Oops, that's quite a bit on that one. In each spot. Just enough to kind of hold it in place. I could probably use a bit more. Right here is just a mess, so I'm going to use some tissue to clean that up. Just like that. It's no shame in making messes and cleaning them up. And also cleaning off your toothpick if it gets ultra messy, which mine does. And I'm just using these little spots of liquid polymer clay to keep it from, like, I don't want all my little screw rivets to pop off. And so I'm just keep on getting more and more. And this step can be a little time consuming, but totally worth it, because you know what else is time consuming? Having to remake all the little rivet screws to replace the ones that fell off because you didn't do this step. And this is the voice of experience. You really want to do this. Okay. Clean up where I've made some messes. Just kind of line it with my finger. Okay, so now I'm going to take each of these and I'm going to put them in their place, and I'm going to use the flat end of my craft knife to smoosh them down just a little. Smoosh. And I'm trying to be pretty consistent too about how flat I'm pressing it, that way they still come out roughly the same size. Smoosh. Smoosh. Sorry. Easily amused. Smoosh. Smoosh. And I'm just placing and pressing. And so you can really see here that I'm preparing all the little balls of clay preemptively beforehand really makes a difference in the speed in how this assembles. And honestly, a lot of projects are just time consuming. That's just the way they are. But that's part of the fun and the beauty of them too. Okay, so there we have all of our rivets. And now I'm going to take my little screwdriver and I'm going to go through and I'm going to put a screwdriver, like a screw head, in as close to the center as I can get on each of these. And I'm trying to be careful to not just have it the exact same way on each one. So I'm kind of like turning and pressing. Now you can see on this one it started to split. That's why it's so important to get the seams out, because otherwise if a seam's not well conditioned, it'll start to split like that. And so the way that I fix that is I'm just going to kind of press it and pat it with my thumb. And then I'm going to re-imprint the screw. There it goes. There we go. There we have a bunch of nice little screw rivets on the edge of this. And the way that this will attach is just down here at the corner. I'll bake it and glue it on. So I'm going to go pop through the other side. This one needs all of its rivets glued and screwed on. And then I'm going to go pop them in the oven for about 10 minutes at 275 degrees. I recommend following the directions on your Polymerclay packages because like Fimo and Kato and Sculpey don't always all take the same baking temperature. So I'm going to go do that and then I'll meet you guys right back here. Okay, so I have baked my little parts here and I think I'd like them positioned more like this, maybe? Though I don't know, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of experiment with the placement of everything. And then I have some peacock feathers here that I had gotten from Michael's. And yeah, I think I'd like to do it kind of like this, where these are here, and then I'll actually build the eye up to sit on top of everything with the peacock feathers in the background. So what I'm going to do is, I have this fabric fusion that I had gotten at Walmart. I'm going to take the lid off, and I'm going to make, let me get it down to the tip. This is a permanent fabric adhesive, but I use this on a lot of stuff. I'm just doing a nice solid squiggle. And then I'm going to use the flat edge of some thick paper to smear and smoosh it around. Get it nice and I'm going to try to make a nice even layer out of it. I'm going to try to keep it from getting into the holes. But I basically just want a layer that will hold the peacock feathers down. And it's starting to make my paper kind of flimsy, so I'm going to throw this away. And so now I have the pieces of feather that I'd like to use. And I'm just going to kind of pat it with my finger. And I have another piece of paper here, but I'm going to wait to use it until after I've gotten what I think is going to be all of the feathers placed. Because I kind of want a nice solid but layered effect. So I'm gonna cut it right here. And I really like that natural, that natural iridescence of the peacock feathers. Getting kind of nice and smushed down. I think I'd like this one right here. So again, just going to come in with my craft knife and snip. Right there like that. And kind of just tap that down. Use that tissue to wipe the goo off my fingers. I'm going to cut right here. Oops. Just to give myself a little bit more kind of fill in right there. Like, I really want it to have this like natural flow and progression, but I don't want too much stem, oops, in the way. So I'm gonna have this one come down. I don't see any reason why I can't layer some different pieces over each other. So I'm just going to snip this one right there. There we are. Get back down there. So I really liked this one kind of coming up the line of the edge of the book. And I really liked this gooped down a little more. So I'm going to do a stronger spot of the glue. And so with all that right there, I think it'll look nice to have this positioned, maybe? Ooh, I like that, like that. Needs to come up a little bit more, I think, to where it'll be centered. We don't quite have enough space to do it horizontally. And I'll be able to go through after the fact and trim all that stuff off, all this extra on the edge. So yeah, I think it's going to end up being better like this. I mean, I hate to cover all that beautiful feathering, but I think it'll be okay. So now with this happening, I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to fill in the back side of this with more of this fabric glue, which I think just does a really great job of holding on to literally everything I've ever had to use it on. Like, and when that's the case, that's a pretty good glue. If it'll hold on to just about everything. Okay, so I'm going to use this piece of paper to act as a buffer between the clamps that I'm going to be using. So I've torn it in half, and now I'm actually going to fold it into like this because I don't want it pinching into the polymer clay. Like, I don't want the clamp pinching into the clay. So there's a clamp. Now on the back of this one, it was already pretty well adhered, but I'm just going to add on some more for good measure. And I'm going to have to let this dry overnight. So then what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tear this one in half as well. Let me see, I think I've got some, yeah. Excuse me, I've got some binder clips here. So I'm going to use this paper as a buffer to put a clamp down there and hold it in spot. And I'm going to use it as a buffer to put a clamp down here to hold it in its spot. There. I was like, I literally just had them. Where did my binder clips go? So that's nice and clamped. On this one, I'm actually going to use this clamp over here because I'll be able to fit it, it looks like maybe in between the spines. Yeah, just like that. So I'll be able to get it to fit through and clamp right there where I wouldn't be able to fit a binder clip otherwise. And then I'll just use a binder clip down here on this end. And so hopefully that'll hold everything nice and in place. And then I'm going to make the Polymerclay eye for sitting right here. But I think we will come back and do that tomorrow when I can actually fit and shape without all of this glue there. So that's how it's looking with all the clamps in place. And, ooh, you know, actually, with all this glue here, this is a perfect opportunity to come through, and I'm going to dig out some cute little gears and just add in a little menagerie of, other little gears and things. That otherwise might not have found their way into the design. Because this glue, I tell you, it holds it pretty well. And you can always add a little bit more just in case. But this way we can bring the steampunk kind of in and through all of it. And I'm trying to make as much surface contact as I can with all the little gears and things. And it'll be okay if some of these end up getting covered up by the dragon eye, because some of them might only get partially covered up, which I still think would be kind of cool. I'm just going to use my finger to kind of smoosh all this stuff around. Kind of hold that down with my nail and wipe some off the surface. Just, I mean, tidy it up as you see fit. And kind of hide some of them in below the feather. Give it a nice, like, hidden effect. But I wouldn't do that too much because I don't want to have to worry about the feathers coming off. But yeah, so there we have just a couple of extra random gears thrown in. And I'm going to leave this set overnight, and I'll meet y'all back here tomorrow. I lied. I couldn't wait until tomorrow. So I've rolled out some of the gold polymer clay, and I'm going to set the eye on it. And I kind of want to loosely draw the rough shape of the eye around it. Because what I'm going to do is I'm still going to let the notebook cover dry, or the sketchbook cover rather. But I just want to kind of have this sculpted, and then tomorrow, whenever the cover is dry, I'll be able to set it on and kind of cut out where I need it to be. You know, if that makes sense. But I couldn't wait until tomorrow to start sculpting it. So whenever I get roughly the shape that I think that I want, I'm just going to cut off and around. Yeah, and we can straighten some of that wonky stuff out. And then I'm going to take the scrap clay and I'm going to fold it up and kind of smush it down and put it back through the pasta machine. I'm going to put it through a couple of times, folding it in the same direction every time. I'm going to fold it in half one more time and feed it through long ways to get it to be longer. And this way I can use it as a lid. But it does seem to work a little better if I do that with it curved. You can see how that kind of works. So I folded it in half to get that nice kind of like shape. And this really is just me making the lids for it. And I'm going to experiment with a couple of different, to see if maybe I like one way better than another way. Like this one I'm going to take and I'm going to twist so that it has some ridges and cool color striation and stuff. I kind of like that. Twist it off, taper it down, keep that twist going. I know I've got enough maybe for the bottom lid. And I definitely want the bottom lid to be more minimal than the top lid. Yeah, I don't know how much I like that. So again, still just experimenting. So I'm actually going to roll this back out, put it back through the pasta machine. So we have that, and now I'm going to grab some leather working tools. So here I have these tools. These are mule feet. This is a cedar. This is, I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but it's shaped like that, and I like it. So, I mean, I don't know what to call it. So I'm going to continue conditioning this clay because it's quite rigid. And then I'm going to kind of cut to shape, I guess. I mean, a little. Let's see where that gets us. And again, I'm just making this up as I go along. That's not too bad. And right now I feel like I'm just making like a little bit of a base layer. So this isn't like the final shape and structure. This is just how it begins. I like this bottom curve, so I'm going to try to mirror that. Remove that. I'm going to put this one on because I'll make it. What do y'all think of that? Again, I want this one to be a little more minimal than the top lid. Kind of like it. So now from here, I have this large mule foot, and I'm just gonna kind of do a little bit of an imprint of the dragon scale kind of texturing. And if you don't have these tools, you can totally freehand it in. And then I also have a texturing tool that I think makes it kind of look like marbled lizard skin. And I'm just trying to add some kind of contrasting texture that is more than just flat polymer clay. That I can maybe go through and add some like highlights and lowlights into. Now this is the first time I've set a dragon eye like this, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Just making it up as I go along. So now I have this thinner piece here that I'm going to kind of misshape the edges of. I want to use this tool to do a repetitive scale-like pattern. Just like that. And where's this eyeshadow at? I've got a nice dark green metallic-y eyeshadow right here that I'm going to experiment with. Ooh yeah, I like that. See how it makes it real dark? And if I keep building from one end and then dragging across gradually, I feel like it really helps gradiate that effect. So I'm going to do that in the other direction. now I'm not entirely sure where to put this. So I'm going to kind of pinch up the back a little bit and see if I can't get it rolling. Because if after you do the detailing, you can still roll it out, the contrast and texture of the eyeshadow might still be there a little bit. So it's totally rolled all the texture out, but again, still just experimenting. And I do really like that green for with this piece, I think. Okay, so I'm going to taper the end down. Okay, so now that I have this roughly shaped to how I would like, I'm going to start kind of putting it along this top edge of the eye. And I'm going to use the cedar to add some texturing, and to use that texture to press the clay down into where it goes. You see how that works? And so now I'm going to come through with a little bit of this green on my brush. I'm just going to add in some accent. And so now I'm back to using this tool. And I think I'm going to use some of this kind of brassy clay, because I want to have a lot of colors in here that match and accent not just the peacock feathers, which I think the eye does a really good job of, but also the the gears and different steampunky things that were happening. So now I'm going to start just making a little coil. And again, I am realizing that a lot of this may end up getting chopped off or into as I shape the eye for its final position, but it's still, I'm going to learn from this, I hope. And so all the experimentation that I do now will lend itself to future projects, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm tapering that down to a point, placing this along that top edge, trying to do, you know, another layer. And I think I'm going to take this and use this tool to do like a yeah, to do like a long kind of that pattern into. Giving it more of the effect of stacked scales, but growing in size. And so from here, before I put this piece on, I'm going to make some like steampunk gear eyelashes. if that makes sense. And I'm going to make them out of this copper. So I'm just rolling this out, getting it onto the thickest setting on the pasta machine. Sorry for the rattly camera. I'm going to fold it in half and pass it through long ways so that it makes it even longer. Perfect. So now from here, I'm going to go through with my craft knife. And I'm going to actually try to make it relatively equidistant. And you know it would be perfect for this graph paper that I have positioned on my work surface that I was completely ignoring. Okay, so following along with these marks on my graph paper, okay, so here we have a little bit of that. I'm going to find my tissue blade that I've lost somewhere in this giant mess that is my life. Oh, there it is. It was over here. Okay. I'm going to trim this about right there. I'm going to try to trim this right about there. I didn't make clean contact all the way through, so I'm just going to go through with my craft knife and tidy that up a bit. So now from here, I can take this and add some cool texturing to it with the handle. Which one has it? This one's got a nice pokey handle of my clay tool. Excuse me. Okay, so there you can see I added just a nice, very subtle texturing. And so this one I'm going to have positioned just offset just a bit. And so you can see there it didn't really matter the texturing that I did underneath this one, except for the fact that now if anybody looks pretty closely, they're not going to see just flat polymer clay underneath it. It's going to be actual like texturing and stuff, which can translate into being pretty cool sometimes, I think. Okay, so I'm getting this nice and positioned, and I have my little texturing tool that I'm going to come through and just strategically smoosh and smoosh and smoosh and smoosh and smoosh. And again, this is not just texturing, but also securing in its place the clay. And so now from here, I feel pretty good about using, let's say, this purple clay. That's a really nice, like, kind of peacock pearl, or a purple pearl, I think is the color name by Sculpey. It's another Sculpey Effects color. Taking off just a pinch, and maybe even half of a pinch. Rolling it, and kind of shaping it down into a scale. Again, experimenting a bit. Oops. And did a just nice little, like, petally scale. And I have a tool around here that's an awl. It's right over here. You can actually just take it, and I'm going to use a ballpoint stylus. I'm just going to smoosh it over there. And I think I'm just going to start making some nice little scale bits. To kind of place like little teardrops. To place with I show you because obviously I'm having a really difficult time finishing my brain thoughts. That's right, my brain thoughts. So I'll take it and just place it, and then swoosh, drag down like that. So then I'll take it and I'll place it, and swoosh, just like that. So then I'll take it, oops, and I'll place it, and I'll swoosh, and I'm just going to keep doing that effect layered all the way around. It uses, I mean, comparatively very little clay, but I think it adds like a really nice effect. And I'm going to keep going from like kind of large to small as well, I think, just to add a kind of cadence to it. So there's that, and then swoosh, just pulling it down and bringing it into line with everything else. And again, this is just more experimentation and more fun. So placing it and swoosh. I don't know why how that song stuck in my head, but I don't mind it. Place it and smoosh. Okay, now I'm just having fun. So I do want to keep the smoosh line pretty much centered. Oh, I'm having so much fun with this. I'm glad I did not wait until tomorrow. Smoosh. And I'm being a little frugal with this one because this is kind of all the clay that I have in this color. Hopefully I can make it last through the project. But I really like this effect of like layering and stuff. Like I really enjoy that. And because it is quite literally layering the stuff together, but there's it's hard to beat, that's for sure. And I'm sure there's a way that I could be more consistent and almost scientific about the gradient of these little feathery scale bits that I'm making. But I'm just going to take pinches and roll them out and place them and kind of pick them out from largest to smallest as I finish up this section of the eye. Pick it up, place it, and smoosh. Pick it up, place it, and smoosh. Pick it up, place it, and smoosh. Pick it up, place, and smoosh. Yeah, that's a smoosh. Now on that one, how it came to the tip, I'm just going to close that smoosh back up, get that little fuzzy off of it. There we go. And I think with this one, I'm actually, instead of having it be a smush, I'm going to make it into a little round. I'm going to do like that. I'm going to find my cedar, and I'm going to boop, just like that. So I think that's coming out pretty nice. I'm going to come through, I think I dropped it on the ground. Yeah. I have, oops, sorry. I have this ball stylus. And I'm going to come in and kind of texture back some of these spots here where you can tell that I overcut. Just trying to make some organic edges, maybe. So now I do have a pearl-X that I think might just look fantastic here. I have this duo green purple, not sure what that means, and then I have an apple green. So I'm going to test out this duo of green purple. Ooh, the color shift on it, oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to clean up my brush. I'm going to get some of this duo green purple on here. And I'm just going to touch the tips of these little petals. I'm just kind of lightly brushing it. I just want to give it a very minimal, like, frosted effect. Oh, I like that. I'm going to kind of get a little bit down here just to see what happens. Just getting it kind of in there in that texturing. Now here I have from another project a little broken Swarovski crystal. So I'm just going to take a spot of liquid polymer clay, put it down in there, and then let me find my tweezers. And I'm just going to grab this half crystal that really wouldn't have too much use in many other projects. And I'm just going to place it down in there and use the tip of my awl to kind of position it around. And I actually find the tip of my cedar works really well for this since it has that concave, it kind of holds on. I'm just going to smush that down in there just a bit. Now I have another half to that somewhere floating around here. But again, I have a seriously filthy workstation right now. I've had a lot of projects juggling around today, and all of them are currently living on my work surface. So hopefully I'll be able to get this cleaned up tomorrow before I start filming. And then I found this screw that I'm not really sure what it goes to, so I'm going to use it right here in the center of this spiral to kind of stabilize it. I just placed it and I've just smushed it down in there. I hope I don't end up needing it because it's in there now. But it adds like a nice little bit of like utilitarian, like true steampunkery to it. Now I'm going to take some of this silver and I'm going to make some little, to get it to tie in to the rest of the, not cosplay, the rest of the project. Oh, you know, I could do that. I was going to make little screw rivets, but what I think I'm going to do is, oh, there's the other half. Okay, I found the other half, so I'm going to place it. And y'all have no idea how frequently I'm like, oh, here's some extra stuff from this one project sitting on my desk. I'll use it in this one just to get it out of the way and cleaned up. Oops, oh no, it fell on its back. Good thing this stuff dries clear. Okay, there we go. Nice in position to use the cedar to smush that down. But now I have all of these kind of inconsistently sized glass seed beads that I think might make really cool little details. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to place them just like that. And then I'm going to take a ball stylus and try my best to evenly push down into the clay. I like it. Yes. Another way that you can place these is sliding them onto the tip of an awl. Let me get those onto my work surface. Place the awl where you want the center to go, and then move it down with your finger. And it's a way of getting it to go there without having to use tweezers. Oops. Well, in theory. That one was kind of difficult because there was a little ledge there from where the layers of clay came together. Smoosh. So these aren't taking up the full spot, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull them out. And I am going to do a little bit of silver as a sphere just underneath it to give it some color contrast and just another layer, and just incorporate some of that silver in there, and about a million other good excuses. Just because I feel like it, I guess. That's the only excuse you need. You know? So as those come through, now I'll come through with my little seed beads and kind of place and press and smush. I like it. I mean, I liked it the other way, but I like this way even more. Especially that one, like how it just fills it out. Oh yeah. So I'm just going to continue doing this around. Sorry, I was having fantasies about maybe one day applying to the DragonCon art show with my sculptures, and I was just thinking about such the beautiful and talented sculptures and artists that are already there, and it's just like in awe and wonder at their talent and skill, and wondering if maybe I'll ever, you know, be peers to them. You know, I aspire to be that talent, to be that skilled, you know, to hone my craft to that point. Because I've been in the DragonCon art show with my jewelry. But I don't know, I guess we always admire what we can't do. And it was an honor to be among, you know, so many artists. But I wonder if I'll ever be able to get in with my sculpting. Because that would be fantastic. Because there's so many, like, that would definitely be pretty cool. Like, I can't remember his name for the life of me. I swear to God, it's like Bob Pancake or something. But, like, I'm not even kidding. But he does some really awesome dragon head sculptures and different things. And he really inspires a lot of my work whenever it comes to sculpting. So there we have that. Just some little detailing like that. I'm going to do one more over here. Because, I mean, these aren't quite screw heads, but they have a little bit of an organic, sorry, words are hard. There we go. So I think the top edge is looking pretty good. I want to beef up the bottom just a little bit more. Trying to think of how I'm going to do that. Because I kind of want to see how this will look in context of the book cover. Like if it could use more of any of the colors or less of any of the colors. I don't know. I think I am at the point where I will sleep on it. And I will meet y'all back here tomorrow, for reals this time, to do more on this piece. So I hope y'all have a great night. I'll be right back. Like for y'all, it'll be like in a second or two, but for me, it'll be in like 12 hours. So I'll see y'all then. Okay, so it is the next morning, and here I have the cover that we did last night. I'm going to set the eye off to the side so it doesn't get like smushed or anything. I'm going to remove all these clamps and see how everything held together, because I'm really curious to see how this worked. And this got hooked on something. What is that hooked on? Oh, the little wire part. Oops. Oh, crap. Let's see, okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So I'm removing the clamps. I'm really glad I used these buffers, because now there's no pinching or anything. I think that looks pretty cool, actually. Here, Andy, look at.
Oh, nice.
You like that?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so now I'm going to just peel the back off of this, and I'm going to experiment a little bit with the positioning, which it looks like I'm not even going to have to cut anything off of the eye. Guys, this is working out perfect. Oh my god. I mean, it completely covers that little gear right there. I can just position it a bit to where, yes. Okay, so I'm going to set that back off to the side, and I'm just going to keep sculpting on this eye. Actually, I'm going to kind of look at it a little bit more just because this makes me really happy. I think I could definitely do to incorporate more of this kind of brassy gold into the eye, because I don't want an overabundance of this orange gold. Okay. Definitely think she needs more purple. Which what I might do. Ooh, y'all. This is so fun. Okay. So what I'm going to do from here, I'm pretty sure I have a purple pearlescent. Yeah, I do. This is a Pearlex pigment. And I'm going to come through just with this same brush that I use for seemingly everything. And I'm just going to press and shape it, this purple pearl, into all of these little nooks and crannies, trying my best to work around the silver. Like, I don't want it to get on all of the other stuff. Like all the silver and everything. And that's something that I love about this pearl pigment too, is that it's not completely irrelevant what your base color is, because it's like an underpainting, but you still have a lot of independence and freedom to like just Pearlex over it and get it to be basically the color that you want. Excuse me. Now, I do have a recommendation that if you're adding layers on and stuff, do the Pearlex afterwards, because it does act like a little bit of a repel between the layers of clay. Like, if that makes sense. And now I'm mega interested to see how this would look if I mixed some liquid Polymerclay with the Pearlex pigment to kind of see what that would do. Because I mean, I don't want to gunk my brush up. It gets it on there pretty well, but it feels like it would gunk my brush up more than anything. It's hard to beat, though, the vibrancy of this such nice purple. Okay, kind of have those off to the side. Just getting some nice, and you can also use brush bristles to like texture. I'm kind of actually just cleaning my brush right now onto the clay. There we go. So where's some more of that gold? Here we are. So I'm going to take this, and, oh, my hands are kind of sore from yesterday. Like the meaty parts of my fingers always get really, I guess that's where the clay rubs on them. Yep, that's right where the clay rubs on them actually. So that's always where my hands get sore the next day from working with Polymerclay. Because I want to do another, like, I'm going to do some more layering on the bottom, I think. Y'all, I'm so excited about this piece. Okay. I'm just going to taper that down some. I'm going to do another little coily bit. And I want everything to stick together nice and well. So I am going to use a spot of liquid polymer clay. It's like kind of right in there. And I'm going to use that to hold down my little spiral that I just made. And I'm going to bring it back just a step. Or do I want it smudged up next to this one? I think I kind of like it brought back a step. And I'm going to sort of pinch that with my fingers. Sorry, I'm still relatively waking up this morning. Like, I tucked and rolled out of bed. I have not even had my coffee yet. But I just really desperately wanted to get back to work on this piece. So here I am. And I'm using my cedar here to add texture as well as press the clay into its final location. Yeah, I think I'm liking having pulled it back just a bit from the edge. Because that's the fun part too about getting to make stuff like this, is if something is like, you know, I wonder how this would look if I had done this differently. Well, I can always just make another one. I don't know why, I just felt like adding some little sharp, deep holes into the clay here. There we are. And I think I'm going to use this one. I really need to figure out what this is called, but it's the one that looks like a little wheat grain or a section of rope. No, that didn't really do much for that, does it? Nope. Okay.
So yeah, I do think I want this a little higher up. Fortunately, me doing all that texturing did not do a whole lot to get it to be held down. Do we like that better? Nope. Maybe I should have had coffee first. I don't know. But this does seem to kind of want to keep moving around on its own. So again, just putting a little bit of liquid polymer clay where I can. Just because you really, the last thing you want is for this stuff to start to come apart. And it's like nobody's going to be like, oh no, you made this too well, you know? But folks will definitely notice if stuff starts breaking. Now I have a mule foot floating around somewhere here. This is my smallest one that I have. And so I'm going to kind of come through and just add in some of that texturing. I like that. Okay, and maybe some green tones. Like this dark green that I had used on another part. Where'd my brush go? There it is. Yeah, I lied to y'all. I did not get my work surface cleaned up at all since we were together here yesterday. Not even a bit. But the day is still relatively young. Just getting it started at least. But I'm feeling particularly fortunate and blessed today. It's really nice to get to spend a morning just cuddling my Randy and my dogs and having the cat come and stomp all over us and just kind of getting to have a lazy morning in bed. Kind of sending some Facebook messages off to friends and stuff, and just it felt very luxurious this morning, and I'm like, that's so nice. Okay, I'm gonna do, I think before I do this gold layer, I am going to do another layer of the purple feathering because I really like that, and I think it could use a lot more of it. Oh god, my hands. And I think whenever I go and glue the eye itself down, I think I'm gonna go through and glue underneath it like that. That way it'll be very, very peacocky. I think that would be really cool. I would enjoy that. Okay, so I'm just pinching off some more clay. I'm gonna pinch and roll. I really like doing this on the glass, like rolling. And then I just kind of back and forth on one side of it, and that makes the really roll, boop, roll, boop. And I'm going to do a bunch of them and then kind of pick the largest to the smallest. And kind of go from there. So I feel like I've got lots of small ones now. I need to do some bigger, some bigger sizes. I think I want to try making some little mini dragons, you guys. This is really, like, time consuming, but fun. Story of my life. One day I will find a hobby that is expedient. And my laptop restarted, so that's good. Okay, so I think this should be plenty. So let's see, and on these larger ones, I'm gonna kind of use a ballpoint, I think. There it is. Next size down. So I'm gonna pick it up and and I'm just attaching along the bottom edge here. Smoosh. I think maybe if I do that. See, I kind of smushed it around the head of this. Yeah, like that, making a little petal. I want to do that to a bunch of the bigger ones. Ooh, I like that so much. Okay, so I make a little petal, and then I'm gonna like squeeze it down. That way it gives it like a little bit of a fluted throat, maybe. I don't really know what those words mean. But it reminds me of a flower petal that's like tapered and growing, and that's definitely what we're going for here. So now I'm still gonna pick it up with the tip of this and put it on and smoosh, just like that. That smoosh is critically important. Smoosh. You know what? I figured that out now. Apparently, if I keep the phone camera really is what I'm using, plugged into the laptop while it's restarting, the phone freaks out. Good to know. So now I'm getting into the smaller ones, so just press and smoosh. Pick up, press, and smoosh. Pick up, press, and smoosh. Building layers on top of layers. Pick up, press, and smoosh. Just trying to get it pushed into that previous layer as well as the rest of the eye, because I really don't want this stuff coming off. Just adding in like a nice gradual little taper like that, I think does a really good job of like aesthetically, it's very pleasing. And it makes it look very natural too, because like if you look at like the tendrils on a fern, or the feathering on a bird, or in this case the scales on a reptile, the growth has that effect, I think. So now I'm going to pull off a few more. I mean, I just need a little bit more. That's way too big. Even that one's pretty large. Alright, so they're just going to be big again. That's what this is life now. Sorry, I got tired of the laptop making funny noises at me, so I've muted it. Okay, so now I can kind of go through and just take my pick. Press and smoosh. Nope. And that's the problem. Typically, I prefer to do pieces like this out of Polymerclay all in one sitting, because now this gold clay has had a chance to sit overnight and it is nowhere near as malleable and accepting of the sculpt as the purple pieces that I'm working with right now are. So I'm just going to add some up to here. Yeah, and so to condition this clay, what I'm going to do is I'm kind of just going to press and smush it a bit with the ball end of this stylus. Maybe that'll help. And alas, it did. Excellent. Just that little bit of movement kind of breaks up those polymers a bit, or I don't know if that's the right terminology, but that's what it feels like it's doing. Okay, so here we have these. I'm going to tuck them away a bit. I'm going to come through with my brush and put on, I think, some apple green on the tips of these ones. There we go. Now I'm just going to do a little line of liquid polymer clay down here, because again, this clay is not very eager to, it's not very sticky. And I'd really rather not have to worry about whether or not my stuff's going to stick. So here I have more of this gold. And I'm just going to roll this out a little thinner. And I was going to use the gold, but now I'm going to use the antique gold, because I think that's just what I'd prefer. Almost perfectly the right length, but definitely close enough. So to fill in this little gap there, I am going to use some of this gold. Just rolled out into a little tapery thing. And I'm going to take this ultra narrow end that just happened, and I'm going to roll it up. Because why not? Now I do want that happening just a little farther down, so I'm going to kind of encourage and move that down that away. Okay, there we go. And I'm also going to add with my little mule foot just some little scale texturing. There we go. Okay guys, so I'm going to bake this on a ceramic tile at 275 for about 30 minutes. And then I will come right back here and meet you guys here to glue it onto the journal. Okay, everybody, so it came out of the oven, and it's still a little quite warm to the touch, but I think that's fine. And oh my gosh, like I added off camera just another little strip of the gold up here at the top to hide some seams. So what I'm gonna do, because it's kind of stuck on there, is I'm just gonna come through with my tissue blade and just detach it. So that came out pretty nice. And now I want to make sure that even, oops, yeah, that's what I was afraid of, is that even with these additional bits and pieces that it would still fit. And it doesn't. So what I want to do then is, ouch, while it's still warm and pretty malleable, I'm going to kind of look and see where I need to take things off. And it seems like it's mostly down here at this bottom corner. So I'm actually going to, it's going to waste the clay, because since it's already been baked, I can't really do anything with it from there. But I should have thought about that before I put it on. Fortunately, it's only 3 little bobbly pieces, and I'm only able to pull them off so easily like this because, there we are, because it's been baked, and it's still so warm. And so now what I can do with these, though, is I'm going to save those off to the side, and I'll be able to tuck them in a little bit. Well, I just had it fitting. Why isn't it fitting again? Okay, there it goes. Sorry. Just momentary panic. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, now I don't like this big white right there. And I do still really want to do the whole peacock feather eye ridge thing. So I'm going to do this one, like about that long. So I'm going to cut it right there. Where's my craft knife? Okay, so there's that. And then I want an equally dense piece coming off the bottom. So maybe if I have it come around to, like right there. Sure, why not? There we are. And I like cutting it like that with the craft knife because it still leaves all the little frilly feathers attached along the stem. And I was going to use a 2-part epoxy because I want this to set up and be very secure immediately. I don't want to have to wait for this to be, not like immediately, but like in 5 minutes, because that's how long it takes the epoxy to set. But I don't want to have to clamp it. I don't want to have to do anything weird. I just want to glue this stuff down and have it just be right there. So it looks like it sits just like that. And that might not be perfectly centered, but it's close enough. So the epoxy that I'm using here is DevCon, DEVCON, 2-part, 5-minute epoxy. I get mine at Lowe's, but you can also get the tubes online. And this is a tube that I already had going. But I'm just going to squeeze off. That should be plenty. But I like this stuff. I use it in all sorts of different applications. Don't get it on your skin. I should be wearing gloves, but I'm a bad person. Don't deep breathe it. I should be wearing a mask, but my house is drafty and I have windows open. And don't eat it. You know, it just doesn't taste good anyways. So, yeah, basic chemical safety right there. Notice why I'm not a professional chemist, because I'm totally ignorant. And my good friend who is a chemist would probably skin me alive, but or at least chastise me thoroughly, which I could probably use a good chastising. But for now, though, this is what's happening. So I'm just trying to get it nice and thoroughly mixed. And it usually heats up as it starts curing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my eye face down, and I'm going to get a big old glob on my toothpick. And I'm going to start spreading this around on the back of this, because I want it to be making full and solid contact in most places. Well, in all places, really. All places that we can manage it. Okay, I've got a little bit extra on the paper there, so I'm going to set it off to the side. And now, before I place this down, I'm going to put these feathers kind of roughly. I can't really, like, tack it down or anything. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that afterwards. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to flip it over. And I'm just setting it down and scooching it as best as I can into its spot where it is making full contact with the board, like the book. And I'm going to insert this kind of under the edge of it. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to insert this under the edge of it. So much of this is faking it till we're making it. But we'll get there. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. So now it's nice and smushed. It's got that nice patterning around it. And now I'm going to use some more of this epoxy. I'm actually going to try to condense it down to where I can get just a glob on the tip like that. And I'm going to try to guide it down into this little nook and cranny right here without getting it on too much of everything. And I'm going to pull off another glob on the tip of my toothpick, and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm kind of just taking some and tucking it underneath there where that'll hold on, hopefully, maybe. It always reminds me when I'm crafting or cooking of that scene from Robin Hood, Men in Tights, whenever the King John has gone up to consult the witch in the tower, and she's cooking him what turns out to be an omelet, but she's just there and she's like, blood of a hen, little more blood. And just that little, she poured some on and she looked at it and she goes, little more blood. It's like, I did not know as a kid when I was watching that how much that would affect my life for always, to be every time I'm doing anything ever. Now as an adult, I just go through and I'm like, man, a little more blood. So a little more glue. And so I was able to add them back in right there. And now we basically just leave it alone, which is the hardest part for me. I'm wasting a little bit of epoxy, but honestly, there's not a whole lot I can do with it. Unless, let me add some gears. Just some last minute little, oh, where you at, gears? Found a couple of pretty ones. So I can totally use this epoxy now to add in, let's say, oh no, it's getting pretty thick, guys. I gotta hurry. I'm gonna glob that down right yonder. And I'm gonna smoosh this down. Smoosh. Just like that. That should hold that on there pretty well. See if I can't scrape off just a little bit more. You know, it's really getting up on. And then I'm going to just wipe this on the back of this gear. And I'm going to set it down underneath this feather on top of this other one. And I'm going to smoosh. Just like that. Ta-da! Oh, I should have put it right there. But, oh well. Just like that. And you can feel on the back side of this, it's getting quite warm. And now, so I don't stick my arm in it, I'm going to put my dirty epoxy paper over where no one will accidentally eat it. Looking accusingly at my dogs. And let me find some scissors to kind of trim up these extra bits. I mean, I guess I could leave them on, but one of them has a little bit of glue in it, so that's going to get pretty cumbersome. And so I'm going to be sealing this off screen because that is something that I go outside to do. But I use PYM 2. It's Preserve Your Memories, and then with the Roman numeral 2. And I use that because it is an aerosol that is safe for use with polymer clays. It will not dissolve it the way that a lot of the aerosol, like polyurethanes and stuff, will. Which is very nice. And I also use it for sealing a lot of my leather pieces and my charcoal pieces and pastels and just basically anything that I need sealed, I go to that stuff. Unless it's something like thermoplastics where I can just use a polyurethane sealant. But guys, it's all done. Complete. I'm so excited and pleased with how this piece came out. I really appreciated all of y'all's input whenever we were doing the first part of the sculpting on YouTube Live, like with the live stream, and just everything. So I'm gonna write a secret message to the winner on the inside of the cover, which, I mean, well, now that you know about it, it's not as much of a secret, but it's still kind of secret, like, if that makes sense. So, gosh, though, I think I'm gonna have to do a lot more like this. I really like just it's kind of abstract, you know, like, but I like it, and it was fun to make. If you guys have any questions, comments, or ideas, please comment down below. If you would like a chance to win this, because it will be we'll do the drawing for this on March 15th, 2017, just in case somebody from the future is watching this. Hello, future people. We'll be doing the drawing to put your name in the hat. All you do is go and pledge $1. The comment will be, or the link will be down in the comments. I finally got some coffee in me. Obviously it's not enough. I'm working on it. Yeah, down in the comment area will be the link to the Patreon page where you can pledge just $1, and that'll put your name in the hat to win it once. If you pledge $5, puts your name in the hat 5 times, so greatly increases your chance of winning. And this is just so cool. Now, a little bit about this. It's acid-free paper that is pretty fine grained, so it's good for a lot of mediums. And I've used markers and stuff on this style of sketchbook before, and they don't bleed through horribly, but you still might want to put some papers in between there, depending a lot on
the mediums that you're using. Like, I wouldn't recommend it for watercolors, but for basically everything other than that, like, I love it for colored pencil and pastels and stuff. But whenever the pages are perforated, so you can take your own artwork out pretty cleanly, and then whenever it's all said and done, you can actually go through and snip these and just have it as a really cool, like, piece of wall art or something, or you can do whatever you want with it. Send it back to me, I'll make something else out of it, you know? But, I'm so pleased with how it came out. These are real peacock feathers, by the way. It's so neat. But please like and share with your friends. Please subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay up to date about all the new videos. I'm posting daily with new tutorials and Let's Crafts and stuff every other day. So thank you guys so much for watching. At the time of recording, we're like this close to hitting 10,000 subscribers, you guys. Y'all are blowing my mind. Thank you so much for all of your involvement and everything. Like, y'all are making our dreams come true. Like big time. Thank you. So give yourselves a big hug from me. I love all of you and have a beautiful day. Bye.